Hey Maker, I'm Angel from fleecefun.com, and today I'm so excited because this is part of my series where I totally remake my sewing space. And it has been a long labor of love, and I'm really excited that I'm finally to the point where I'm ready to share with you. So this whole project started with a mat, and I had a computer mat in my office. And it had broken and my husband had gotten me a new one. So I moved the mat to put down the new one and I saw this. Yuck, right? It's so gross. And so I'm like, okay, I really need to replace the carpet in this office. The people who lived here before we did, it was the place where they let their kids like watch TV and have snacks. And so I never really cleaned out the carpet because when we moved in, I was really pregnant. And any case, I never took care of the carpet. So I'm like, okay, this has gotta go. This carpet, it's not even salvageable. We can't clean it. It's gotta leave. And honestly, I wanted hard flooring in here or laminate flooring in here because it just would be better for my sewing space. Have you ever lost a pin in carpet? Not good. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna replace the floor in here. This room is beyond due. It had, places where the pad had crinkled up. It was gross. Okay, but the crazy started to set in. I'm like, if I'm going to replace the flooring, I might as well, paint the walls while I'm at it. And if I'm going to paint the walls, why don't I just change things up with the layout of the office anyway? So it started to go crazier and crazier. But before I went too crazy, I had to complete a very important step. And it was one that I actually had already been working on, which is organizing my sewing space. And I'm going to share with you the tips I learned when I was going through organizing my space so I could have it ready for my wonderful studio makeover. All right, so step one when it comes to organizing the sewing space, what I did is I had to get rid of the excess. As a blogger, people like to send me stuff, which is a great perk of my job. But sometimes it's stuff that I genuinely don't need. I once had a company send me like a box of spray paint, and I am a sewing blogger. What am I going to do with that? In any case, I had to start going through and being honest with myself. Just because I had gotten something for free or was a nice sample, was I actually going to use it? And in some cases, the answer was no. So I needed to start going through and deciding what I genuinely needed my space and what honestly was just excess and needed to either get moved to and given to someone who would use it or thrown out because honestly it was just trash sitting around my studio space. So basically I organized it into 3 categories. It was giveaway. It was still really good stuff. It just wasn't good for me, but I knew it could be good for someone else. Stuff that I was going to keep, stuff that was usable, stuff that I knew that I would need for future projects, and stuff that honestly was junk and needed just to leave. Like analog cords for video equipment and stuff like that. All right, so the next step in organizing my space was being able to see what I have. And that meant putting things in clear boxes, organizing my fabric in such a way that I could actually see what I had. Because one of the problems I ran into when going through step 1 and organizing and going through everything and getting rid of it is I had a lot of duplicates of things because I had it squirreled away in different spots in my office. One of the problems with my old space was that I had tons of shelving, tons of places to put stuff, and I couldn't find anything. So one of the rules I set up for myself is that I needed to be able to see it, or I needed to have it labeled and I knew exactly where the space was for things. So for example, if I look in my closet, I have a lot of clear bins and you can see what is in those bins. I rolled up my fabric so you could see the fabric that I have and it's, nicely organized there. And one thing that I did do is fleece, it's really bulky. And so you have to be able, but you still need to be able to see it. So what I did is I took a poster board and I cut it down into long pieces and I just wrapped it. So it was, like a bolt of fabric. And then I stood it upright in my office closet so I could see it. So little things like that, you need to be able to see what you have. So clear bins, label everything, and have your fabric presented in such a way that you can see it. So like I said with my fleece, I did kind of those bolts. And then I did the traditional, wrap it around cardboard and then lay it flat and stick it in your shelving so I could find it later. Great way to organize your fabric, great way to see what you have. Tip number 3, counteract Parkinson's Law. Now, Parkinson's Law actually applies to deadlines, but it can also apply to spatial things as well. The idea being is that the farther out a deadline is, the more sweet time you're going to take with it instead of actually getting it done before the deadline. Now, if you are given an excess amount of space, you're going to want to just fill up that space, which is unfortunately what I did in my office. Because I had so much shelving, as you can see here, and I had all of these flat surfaces that I could put stuff on and squirrel it away, I kept filling it, and it wasn't good. I found so much stuff, you guys, it's a shame. Or I'd even find like empty bins. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's an empty bin that I could have been using for organizing things better, but did I know? Of course not. So I started to eliminate that option. I got rid of shelving in my new space, and I set up the new rule of if it doesn't fit in my closet, it doesn't fit in my studio. So, and this is the shameful part, I have this beautiful walk-in closet that is part of my office space. And really, I should be able to fit everything I need in that closet. And so that is another rule that I made for myself. I wasn't going to give myself a lot of places to squirrel things away. It needed to either fit or it doesn't belong. So when you're going and organizing your space, keep that in mind. The answer might not be buying another shelf. It might actually be taking a shelf away, just to help you stay organized, streamline what is in your space, and make it more user-friendly for you. So those are the steps that I did when I was organizing my space, and after I did that, I got to start getting down into the more fun part of redoing a space, which is deciding on color for my sewing space. And that was a journey within itself, and I'm going to talk about that in my next video. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. And subscribe to this channel for more sewing tutorials and sewing ideas.